Welcome to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation's Inmate Staff Relation New Employee Training. The way you interact and communicate with staff and inmates is a reflection on you as a correctional employee. The knowledge and skills provided in this lesson are very important and will provide you with the foundation for success. Today, you will be provided with the understanding of inmate staff relations in a correctional setting. How to interact with inmates and staff in a positive, professional manner. Proper communication techniques. How to identify and react to overly familiar and inappropriate behavior. Consequences that arise when inmates' rights are violated. How to identify and respond to inmates who may attempt to manipulate staff. In today's training objectives, you will recognize the importance of positive and professional inmate-staff relations. Define professionalism. Identify habits a correctional employee will follow to promote a positive working relationship with staff and inmates. Identify techniques to effectively communicate with an inmate. Identify methods to develop a rapport with inmates. Identify barriers that prevent positive communication. Identify consequences that arise if inmates' rights are violated. Identify staff actions inmates observe and use to manipulate staff. Identify the appropriate actions to take against schemes used by inmates to gain sympathy and manipulate staff. Identify strategies to protect yourself from inmate manipulation and over-familiarization. Identify communication techniques which are useful to resolve inappropriate conduct by another staff member. Identify the process to take when a relative or friend is committed or transferred to the jurisdiction of the department. Learning Objective 1. You will recognize the importance of positive and professional inmate-staff relations. Positive and professional conduct begins with the understanding that good communication skills are the foundation for successful working relationships with inmates and staff. Correctional employees must be humane and not skeptical when interacting with inmates. Maintain a positive attitude and awareness of the institutional environment. Learning Objective 2. You will define professionalism. Professionalism is defined as adhering to the rules, regulations, and ethical standards of CDCR, a competent, reasonable, dependable, and well-trained person, exhibiting a courteous, objective, and business-like demeanor. Unprofessionalism can be not adhering to grooming standards, inappropriate jewelry or excessive makeup, use of profanity, poorly maintained uniform, chewing gum. Inmates also have values and expectations of our performance, conduct, and appearance. Inmates will often respect authority if you are courteous, ethical, and professional. When an inmate does not respect authority, it is never an excuse for you not to maintain your professionalism. Be a role model. Lead by example. Learning Objective 3. You will identify habits a correctional employee will follow to promote a positive working relationship with staff and inmates. Some examples of good habits are: 1. Think before you speak or act. 2. Be punctual. 3. Be alert. Pay attention. 4. Be knowledgeable and objective. 5. Be trustworthy and honest. 6. Granting reasonable requests. 7. Do not threaten with discipline to encourage a change in behavior. 8. Discipline in private. Praise in public without overdoing it. 9. Be empathetic without emotional involvement. 10. Be fair, firm, and consistent. 11. Be patient and flexible. 12. Be a role model. 13. Be courteous and professional. 14. Be impartial. Do not show favoritism. 15. Lead by example. 16. Acknowledge and reinforce good behavior. 17. Respect the rights and dignity of others. 18. Follow the chain of command. Learning objective 4. Given a list, you will identify techniques to effectively communicate with an inmate. Some ways to help alleviate barriers and establish open lines of communication are to speak clearly using appropriate language. Give clear expectations and follow up. Actively listen to what is being said. Portray an empathetic attitude. Keep your word. Learn to say no in a tactful manner. Learning objective 5. You will identify methods to develop a rapport with inmates. Rapport is a relationship characterized by trust, respect, and mutual understanding. Your reputation is critical as you develop rapport with inmates. It is essential for correctional staff to treat inmates fairly and with respect. Respectful treatment holds even more value for inmates and leads to a positive interaction. Rapport can be built by speaking the way you would like to be spoken to, saying no tactfully, be fair, firm, consistent, and objective. Avoid arguing with inmates. When appropriate, resolve the problem at the lowest level. Communicate your approval of a job well done. Learning objective 6. You will identify barriers that prevent effective communication. Some possible communication barriers are cultural diversity, language, the physical design of the institution, religion, profanity, using slang terms, difference in personalities, disabilities, blaming others for your mistakes and not accepting responsibility, not listening to what is being said, being closed-minded, your body language, personal prejudices and discrimination, misconceptions due to past experiences. De-escalation is an effective communication technique used to reduce the level of tension or aggression so a discussion can occur. De-escalation techniques are not natural traits, require training and practice, can greatly reduce reliance on use of force, promote professionalism, credibility, and confidence. Learning objective 7. You will identify consequences that arise if inmate rights are violated. Some of these consequences include compromises to institutional security, unsafe and unstable work environment, division between staff and inmates, unrest and the potential for violence, loss of life and property. Discredits the department, negative media attention, increase of inmate appeals, lawsuits, personal and departmental, disciplinary action up to and including termination. Due process is a concept that people should be treated fairly by government. Inmates have rights and privileges that cannot be denied without due process. Throughout history, denial of basic human rights has resulted in serious consequences. Basic human rights include things such as food, shower, a toilet, and exercise. Inmate rights and treatment are governed by state and federal laws. Inmates are protected by the Constitution's prohibition of cruel and unusual punishment, requiring that inmates be afforded a minimum standard of living. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment extends to inmates. They are protected against unequal treatment on the basis of race, sex, and creed. Learning Objective 8. You will identify staff actions inmates observe and use to manipulate them. To protect yourself against inmate manipulation, know and adhere to the rules and procedures presented in today's training. When in doubt, refer to a supervisor or experienced staff. Do not accept information from an inmate without verifying its authenticity. Maintain a professional relationship in your interactions with inmates and all staff. Some examples of staff actions inmates observe and use to manipulate. How staff project and carry themselves. How you speak. Your posture. Are you nervous or confident? Are they willing to ask their peers for help? Interaction with other staff. Not making eye contact when talking with inmates. How they wear their uniform. Unprofessional appearance. Gossips about staff or inmates. Not following the rules. Bending the rules for certain inmates. Are they overly familiar with inmates? Learning Objective 9. You will identify the appropriate actions to take against schemes used by inmates to gain sympathy and manipulate staff. Inmates will attempt to manipulate staff into feeling empathy and/or sympathy with the intention of drawing you into their feelings. Empathy, a vicarious emotional experience in which you feel and understand what another person feels. It involves emotions. A person experiencing empathy understands and more deeply feels what another person feels. Empathy connects people and can lead to trust. A high level of empathy can lead to a helping behavior. Sympathy, a feeling of care or concern for someone without experiencing their feeling. In sympathy, you have a general concern for another, usually expressed by offering comfort or assurance. Empathy versus sympathy. Empathy equals a more deeply experienced feeling and understanding. Sympathy equals a feeling of concern, typically followed by actions. Empathy requires that you understand and experience the other person's feelings. Sympathy does not. When an inmate can get a correctional employee to feel both empathy and sympathy, it could become a perfect setup to manipulate staff. You should be understanding toward an inmate's problem without allowing the inmate to pull you into their feelings and set you up to be manipulated. For your protection, assess what the inmate is telling you and direct the inmate to the appropriate staff for assistance. Inmates may also use other manipulative tactics, such as giving excessive and/or inappropriate compliments. Set boundaries and tell the inmate when their comments are not appropriate. Gathering information by eavesdropping on your conversations, asking about your car, where you live, where you attended school, or other personal information. Attempting to engage in personal conversations, gossip with you about other staff, or tell you that other staff members are gossiping about you. Focusing on similarities in race, gender, religion, etc. Threatening to expose a mistake you made or attempts to blackmail you. Warning you about problem inmates. Offering helpful advice about your job duties. Security advice. Warning you that something dangerous is going to happen or says to stay away from an area. Coming to your assistance or notifying others you need help. Offering to bring gifts, food, supplies, etc. Learning Objective 10. You will identify strategies to protect yourself from inmate manipulation and over-familiarization. Specific things you can do to protect yourself from manipulation. Maintaining your professional behavior is your greatest protection. Make your expectations of conduct clear. Be consistent. Immediately confront conduct that is inappropriate and is overly familiar. Keep your personal life at home. Confront rule violations, even minor ones. If you believe you are being manipulated, contact your supervisor. If you make a mistake, admit it. Do not allow an inmate to use that mistake against you. Inappropriate relationships and sexual misconduct are defined by policies, statutes, and provisions regarding inappropriate relationships and sexual misconduct. The state of California and the United States government have codes, statutes, and provisions pertaining to sexual misconduct between correctional staff and inmates/parolees. The following definitions clarify the difference between an inappropriate relationship and sexual misconduct. Inappropriate relationship. A person in a position of trust or authority engaging in behavior of a personal nature beyond the scope of the professional role with an inmate, parolee, or family and friends of the inmate, parolee. Sexual misconduct. Any sexual behavior by an employee that involves or is directed towards an inmate. The legal concept of consent does not exist between employees and inmates. Learning Objective 11. You will identify communication techniques which are useful to resolve inappropriate conduct by another staff member. Observe. Be aware of all actions around you. Be aware of your coworkers' whereabouts. Confirm. Check out your observations carefully. Discreetly discuss your observations with potentially affected coworkers to confirm. Do not involve inmates in staff conflicts. Confront. The relationship between the two employees will dictate the manner in which to confront. Assuming that it is safe and appropriate to confront the coworker, bring your observations to the coworker's attention privately in a non-accusatory manner. In a matter-of-fact way, let the person know how their actions and those of the inmate are being perceived. Document. Document all observations and any conversations concerning the situation. Documentation helps clarify facts in the event that an investigation follows. Report. Report all observations to a supervisor in case there is an actual security violation or breach. Learning Objective 12. You will identify the process to take when a relative or friend is committed or transferred to the jurisdiction of the department. The process for notifying the department is to forward a written memorandum via your supervisor. The memorandum should include the inmate/parolee's first and last name, relationship to you, inmate number or any identifiable information, location, correctional facility, parole region. This lesson provided awareness of department policies surrounding the issues of inappropriate conduct with inmates/parolees. The legal, ethical, and professional implications of violations involving behavior that is inappropriate. Warning signs that can lead to inappropriate relations, prevention strategies, and the rights and reporting responsibilities of all employees. Remember, communication is an essential function of your job.
Knowledge review. The purpose of this activity is to reinforce what you have learned from this training. True or false? Professionalism is defined as a competent, reasonable, dependable, and well-trained person. True or false? Take a moment to answer the question on the screen. The correct answer is true. True or false? Being fair, firm, consistent, and objective will not help build rapport with inmates. True or false? Take a moment to answer the question on the screen. The correct answer is false? True or false? Loss of life and property are consequences of violating inmates' rights. True or false? Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is true. True or false? Inmates can try to manipulate staff if they observe them not following the rules. True or false? Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is true. True or false? Being unprofessional is a great strategy against inmate manipulation. True or false? Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is false. True or false? Making your expectations of conduct clear is one strategy to protect yourself against inmate manipulation. True or false? Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is true. True or false? Techniques that are useful to resolve inappropriate conduct by another staff are observe, confirm and confront. True or false? Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is true. What is the correct method for notifying the department when a relative or friend is committed to the jurisdiction of the department? Write a memorandum to your supervisor including first and last name, relationship to you, inmate number, or any identifiable information, location, correctional facility, parole region. Tell your supervisor only if he, she, asks. Let your relative or friend write a memo to the warden. Do nothing, it doesn't matter. Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is write a memorandum to your supervisor including first and last name, relationship to you, inmate number or any identifiable information, location, correctional facility, parole region. Positive and professional inmate-staff relations leads to hard times, overfamiliarization, mutual respect. Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is mutual respect. All of the following are communication barriers, except listening to what is being said. Language barriers. Misconceptions due to past experiences. Using profanity. Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is listening to what is being said. Which of the following is not one of the 4 traits of professionalism? Know what your job is. Always cover for your partners. Make sound decisions. Be punctual and efficient. Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is always cover for your partners. All are habits where a correctional officer can promote positive working relationships, except respecting the rights of others only when they respect you. Being a positive role model. Being knowledgeable and objective. Being patient and flexible. Take a moment to answer the question on this screen. The correct answer is respecting the rights of others only when they respect you. On the following screen, you will receive a blank certificate for this training. Please pause the video on the bottom left of your screen, video player, once you see the certificate. Then select the print screen button on your keyboard. Paste the image into Paint. Here you may crop and print the certificate, to turn in. End of training. This concludes your training. Thanks for watching and participating.